These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Mark Z via PDK member question. So, what happens next? Mark Z's answer, as explained to me from folks over there in finance, they are waiting for markets to stabilize. They believe this could happen in short order. Is it hours? Is it days? Is it longer? We don't know. It may be 24 to 48 hours before we know. My understanding is with the passing of the budget, the U.S. government figures will be finally out of Iraqi pocketbook. And once they get it legally stamped, they can move forward. I'm hearing a lot from Reno and other areas that they have expectations of this thing moving forward over the next 24 hours or so. I'm hopeful as well. Mountain Goat says, I think no one knows their schedule for rollout for sure. I've had many conversations with the CBI since January of this year. Sometimes I just shake my head in amazement at what has taken place since January. The news from Iraq over these past 5 months has been all about the wanted events we have been looking for since investing in the dinar. Our target is definitely in reach. Claire, community comment, quote, I have an opinion. It's the budget is done, unquote. Claire says technically it is not done, or they would not have another vote to finalize it, in fact. Nader from the Middle East says the budget has been approved. Everything has been approved. They're saying they have to vote, but they vote. It's been approved for a long time already, but they just want to make it a big show. The budget will travel to the Senate will sign for it, and that's it. We're done. The budget, and now the new currencies. Mark ZV PDK, quote, Baghdad today publishes the final version of Iraq's tripartite budget law, unquote. It's published, but we are waiting for news that they have rubber stamped it and it is official. We should see that sometime today. Frank26, I am frustrated too. I am anxious too. I want this to end too. All the Iraqi citizens, they're also suffering. They're all going through a lot. You have to be patient. You're in a position where you can afford to be patient. They're in a position where they cannot. There is nothing for them to use with value. All right, Claire has an article, quote, the governor of the central bank meets with vice president of JPMorgan Bank, unquote. Another quote, Mr. Zelikow praised the recent measures taken by the Central Bank of Iraq in the field of combating money laundering and terrorist financing and the adoption of international standards in money transfers. The governor of the Central Bank of Iraq called on Mr. Zelikow to open representative office in Iraq, promising him to provide the necessary support to facilitate this step. JPMorgan Bank is the largest U.S. bank in terms of financial assets, with assets amounting to $4 trillion. All right, Bruce via Wiser Now says we've heard directly from our contacts in Iraq that Iraq did everything finally. They were allowed to do by our government, letting Iraq put out a new Iraqi dinar currency and rate to open the budget so that it could be seen to make the oil and gas law passed and read. And that was done. All the ATMs in Iraq are loaded with new lower denomination Iraqi dinars similar to our denominations, and those have been up and running for a few days now. They have a new rate that came out on Thursday that is very strong. It's been exposed internationally. It's being traded up from when it first came out, and that's a good sign. We have heard from pretty strong sources imminent that it could be over the next day or so, so we just have to wait and see what happens. I think that we are super close. Angel One says our investment is wild. We are literally seeing a third world war torn country, not just a first world country, but a leader in the first world country. It's mind-boggling. We know Iraq has the value. What we're waiting for is simply the rate to reflect it. The value is there. Militiaman says, kinda crazy, lots of stuff we don't understand what's true, what's not true. It's pretty common to see things going back and forth. That's to be expected. We've always talked about this over the years. Even the great Dr. Shabibi talked about at the end there would be propaganda. We will see if this is taking place. Frank26 has an article, quote, Al-Sudani welcomes the opening of branches of global bank in Iraq, unquote. Another quote, a delegation from the JPMorgan Bank in Baghdad, unquote. Frank says Chase was one of the 4 banks we told you about as a part of a financial hub. Look at the timing. And lastly, Mark Z via PDK member comment. I believe we will see the IQD rate change on the Forex by Sunday. Mark Z says, I hope you're right. Maybe not that soon, but my gut says they may need a couple days to watch everything settle, then they pull the trigger. Just a guess, but listening to banking context, it could be sooner than that. I think we have a couple very interesting days ahead of us and possibly a rate change.